Imagine, roughly 1 year from now you're watching the World Cup. One of the best strikers in the world is running down a field trailed by two defenders. As he winds up to kick, the screen glitches and the broadcast goes dark. When it flickers back on just moments later, you see a purple electrified cloud manifest out of thin air, sending a shockwave through the crowd. And that isn't even the weird part. Moments later, soldiers walk out of the cloud onto the field. The stadium is silent, no one can comprehend what they're seeing. One of the soldiers looks at the camera, addressing you and the rest of the world. She says she's from 30 years in the future where humanity is losing a war against a hostile alien species. In mere months, all humans in her timeline will be wiped off the face of the earth. They need our help. Fast forward 3 weeks later. After double checking this wasn't a David Blaine illusion, militaries around the world are starting to send soldiers to the future. Almost all are coming back in body bags. As days go by and the death toll skyrockets, the UN initiates a worldwide draft. Ordinary civilians like you are now in the fight. If you were drafted into the Tomorrow War, do you think you'd make it? Do you think a 7-day boot camp would prepare you for deadly aliens that have decimated every experienced soldier sent before you? And if you did somehow make it through your future deployment, do you think you'd survive round 2 with these monsters in our current timeline? You do? Well, you're wrong, and I'm here to tell you why. In this video, I'll cover all the reasons you wouldn't survive your brief tour of duty in the Tomorrow War. However, before I get to both your future and your present day deaths, hit the like and subscribe button, and do it now, because this video will likely be interrupted by another annoying plea from some future soldier about how we need to help with all their problems.
You are our last hope.
Reason number 1, they must know what they're doing. Our analysis starts 12 months after the World Cup. A news broadcast fills us in on what has transpired since the soldiers from the future arrived a year ago. Spoiler alert, it's not great. In the days that followed the World Cup, the world's military is mobilized to help our future selves. Using their time-traveling technology, we built jump sites to send soldiers 30 years into the future. There they help fight the vaguely described monsters known as Whitespikes. Out of the initial 1,000 battle-hardened soldiers we sent, only a few survived. The second wave didn't fare much better. When we offered up jets, drones, and nukes, future us politely declined. Their message was clear: send more human meat. This boggled the minds of our current day military leaders, but we agreed. Future us had figured out time travel, so they must know what they're doing. When we ran out of soldiers, we once again offered to send nukes, drones, and automated perimeter defense weapons. However, the answer to each offer was resounding: no thank you. They remained steadfast in their assertion that winning the Tomorrow War required soldiers, not highly effective weapons, technology, and machines. It did make sense, but what did we know? Again, they'd figured out time travel. Instead of questioning the dummies of the future, we implemented the first worldwide draft. Ordinary civilians like you were now in a war where 20% survival odds were considered favorable. Reason 2. Ring ring, it's Uncle Sam. We now pivot to the perspective of Dan, a former Green Beret and current high school biology teacher. Dan is just one of a million eligible candidates, like you, waiting for his number to be called. Every day someone he knows is drafted into the future war, and most of the time, they don't return. When his phone rings during class, he knows it's his time. Dan is brought to the closest jump site where he meets his brothers and sisters in arms. Store clerks, hairdressers, homemakers, and you. Yes, you were also drafted. Unlike Dan, you went to the quiet confidence of a seasoned military veteran. No, you'll be trying not to piss yourself as you realize you are nothing more than cannon fodder. Your only hope is that the boot camp gives you enough training to be in the lucky 20% who make it back with missing limbs and horrendous PTSD. The boot camp starts with a rousing speech from the Secretary of Defense. Now I'm going to translate as patriots speak to English for all you civvies so you can fully understand your hopelessness.
You all have something in common.
Translation: you are all utterly unprepared for the violence about to take place.
Whatever your background, you are now heroes.
Most of you are going to die.
The sacrifice that you make now is for them.
Like I said, most of you are going to die.
We thank you for your service.
You are purely a means to an end. This inspiring speech is followed by a brief outline of your tour of duty.
Your tour of duty will be 7 days. At the end of your tour, you will automatically be jumped back from wherever you are.
Only 7 days, you tell yourself. You can do this. With the right amount of training, you just may make it. Reason 3. Training? What training? You listen on as the commander from the future tells you about the 7-day long boot camp you're about to go through.
What you think you know about basic training does not apply. There will be no push-ups, no pull-ups, no obstacle courses. You will not march, crawl, or climb.
Okay, this is reasonable. With only 1 week to prepare, they probably dropped the PT to solely focus on the essentials. Things like small team tactics, deep dives on enemy strengths and weaknesses, and most importantly, non-stop firearms training. Too bad none of that's on the schedule. Yep, the powers that be decide to limit your training to 1 firearms demonstration and an intel meeting where they refuse to share any imagery of your enemy. You're essentially told to take a gun, shut up, and wait to jump. The only thing you've got going for you is that you've been assigned to the research force. That and the former Green Beret named Dan is on your team. He looks like a badass, so you should be good. You learn your mission is to join scientists in a fortified research lab. There, you add your knowledge and skill set to theirs and prevent humanity's extinction. As you sit there wondering how someone like you with no science experience was chosen for the research team, the alarms go off. The officer tells you they received communication from the future. The science facility is under attack and they need your team to deploy now. The blaring sirens and dread of combat are only overshadowed by your confusion. For instance, if scientists can communicate through the wormhole, why do we need to travel to the future? Also, why is the research team going now if the facility is under attack? As you stutter, trying to get out these very rational questions over blaring alarms, you're told to stop talking and head to the jump zone. Get ready, because you're about to experience reason number 4 why you wouldn't survive. You are beta testing time travel. Like all beta tests, there are going to be bugs. You may end up in the wrong year, manifest without your dingling, or travel through hell. For you and Dan, the bug revolves around the location of your re-entry. Surrounded by clouds, you know something is wrong. You were told there'd be a drop, just not a 10,000 foot drop. Unless you've got a parachute, you're going to end up like him, her, or these guys. The parkour-like training you received to land safely won't be too much help when you hit concrete at terminal velocity. But let's assume that like Dan, you survived by penciling into a 6-foot deep pool. You are one of the 10% who made the jump successfully. All you need to do is make it to the fortified research hub and wait out your 7-day deployment. That's when you get word that you and your team of scientists have been reassigned. Our force is now a combat search and rescue team. Your mission is to fight your way to the fortified research facility and rescue your fellow scientists. Oh, and 2 other things. 1, the facility is surrounded by deadly monsters you still know nothing about. And 2, they're gonna bomb the facility in 6 minutes, so you're on the clock. Got it? Good. Welcome to the future, motherfucker. Reason 5. Karen's watching your 6. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you, the viewer, are a somewhat competent individual. I mean, you probably watched dozens of how to beat videos, so you're practically a Marine. I believe in you. However, fighting Whitespikes is a team sport, and your starting lineup is a little disappointing. Outside of Dan, your team can be summed up in 2 words. Friendly fire. As you navigate the city looking for monsters you still know nothing about, Karen is farting nervously, Steve is shitting himself, and Tim is muttering incoherently. While you know Whitespikes are stalking you, the bigger danger is Karen's itchy trigger finger. Her day job as an interior decorator just isn't translating to her new occupation as a soldier. If someone makes a weird noise or she gets spooked, she's gonna go full auto in a sweeping motion that takes out you and the rest of our force. You better hope that performance-enhancing cocktail they force-fed her before the jump had something to calm the nerves. If not, you may break the record for the shortest deployment. Your team finally makes it to the highly fortified research facility located in a Miami high-rise. Looking around, all you see is dead soldiers. You check in with command and ask whether there is anyone still alive.
Only the research team, I hope. Everybody else was ordered to evacuate.
Once again, you can't believe what you're hearing. Why did the research team stay behind while everyone else left? You must be missing something. Making it to the research facility, you find all the scientists are dead. Checking in with command, you're told to retrieve as much research as you can, including a highly valuable toxin that could eradicate the monsters. The female commander also reminds you your team only has minutes before the bombing commences. As the senior military official, there is nothing she can do to stop the pilots from dropping 10 kilos of boom boom on you and the only means of saving our species. Again, weird logic, but you don't have time to think. You've got Whitespikes on your ass. It's time to move.
All right, Actual, you need to head left at the next intersection. You got Whitespikes closing in on you from the north and the south.
When you finally see the extraction team, you breathe a sigh of relief. Mission accomplished. This is kind of fun. You may actually get a medal or something. Who frickin' raw? And that's when you finally get a good look at them. They're big, they're strong, and they're hungry. As the Whitespikes rip soldiers out of their armored Humvees, you finally realize why they wouldn't show you pictures pre-deployment. You would have never left that rooftop pool, much less the jump site. Command comes back on the radio and tells you there will be no other extract. You need to make it to safety on your own. The future of humanity now depends on your ability to sprint, run, climb, and crawl. All things they left off the abbreviated training schedule. The only thing that gets you out of there is a motivational soundtrack and words of encouragement from Command.
Let's go. You have got to get out of there. Get the hell out of there right now. Get out of there. Move now.
You're told to run until you can't run no mo. After 2 miles at a heart-pounding 10-minute pace, you're about to black out. As the bombs drop, you accept the inevitable. You did your duty. You probably didn't accomplish anything, but you did your duty. The world goes blank as you collapse. You are dead. Just kidding. You somehow survive the carpet bombing and wake up in a makeshift hospital. 28 hours down, 140 more to go. As you look around, you see Dan across the medbay and smile. Hell yeah, we kicked some ass, bro. You survived the worst the aliens can throw at you. But don't get too cocky, because you're about to come face to face with a threat even greater than the Whitespikes. Dan's hot daughter.
You got,
Hot?
you look great. Yeah, I mean, just...
Yes, she's hot, but she's also the one who's going to get you killed. You listen to her run through her impressive background.
Our force is my creation. I'm the lead researcher. Yeah, I have a PhD in biotechnology with an emphasis in genomics and immunology.
Yeah, her science resume is stacked, but tactically, well, you've already seen her lack of experience in that field. She fills you in on the fact that they've spent years developing an experimental toxin to wipe out the Whitespikes. You know, the one they almost bombed 24 hours ago. While they've made progress, the current toxin only works on the males. The females, who are the weak point in their hive-like species, remain immune to the toxin's effects. They need to capture one of the highly elusive and extremely dangerous queens and bring her back for study. Only then can they find a solution. At this point, you may wonder why they are just now trying to capture a female. They've been at war for 3 years. If this had been done at the outset, humans would have likely developed a working toxin a long time ago. Future us would have eradicated these monsters and never interrupted the World Cup with a cry for help that led to you being drafted into the Tomorrow War. Someone made some poor decisions, and that someone is Dan's hot daughter. As humanity's lead researcher, she was the one who prioritized figuring out time travel over developing a toxin to wipe out the hostile alien species. No one understood why, but she was super hot, so no one questioned her. As a result, leaders marshaled all the world's resources towards solving time travel, while skeleton crew with zero budget did their best to create a half-baked, highly experimental toxin that only works on the males. Dan's hot daughter is directly responsible for your impending death. But all that's water under the bridge. You're here now and she needs your help. She fills you in on the mission you're about to undertake. They found a female and need to extract her to a secure facility. Easy peasy. All you need to do now is fend off the horde of males approaching to save their queen. Reason 7. Whitespikes make xenomorphs look cute. On the helicopter ride into the Queen's nest, Miri finally gives you a briefing on the aliens known as Whitespikes. She skips past years of research into their origin, biology, interspecies dynamics, and violent expansion to get to the only thing you really need to know.
You're food. And they are hungry.
Yep, they're hungry, and we're like cattle to them. These monsters are 10 feet tall with natural exoskeleton armor completely resistant to your weaponry. They can run, they can fly, and they can swim. Their tentacles shoot spikes, hence their name, but they can also be used as blunt force weapons to smash in your skull. If you get too close, their razor-sharp jaws will rip you to shreds. The only soft spots on their bodies are their mouth, neck, and belly. Good luck getting a shot at one of these areas when they're closing in on you at 50 miles per hour. Oh, and they reproduce fast, like xenomorph fast. You are outgunned, out-armored, and out-biologied. Now lock and load your undercaliber weapon, because you're about to be surrounded by thousands of these beasts. When you finally get to the nest, you're told the queen has been sedated. Rappelling in, you realize it's going to be further from the truth. Mommy Whitespike is tossing soldiers around like play toys, dismembering everyone in her hive. While they don't have any more sedative, they did bring enough harpoon guns for you to join the game of tug of war. She adds 10 more deaths to the kill count before finally being pushed into the crate. You and the survivors helicopter back to an oil rig complex that serves as the human resistance headquarters. Hundreds of miles from shore and protected by mined waters, naval ships, and phalanx guns, the headquarters is one formidable structure. Come to think of it, this would have been a great place for that research facility. They dropped the caged beast back at the base where the Jurassic Park loading team is waiting with tasers. A few deaths later, and the queen is properly sedated. They now have the one missing piece of the puzzle.
Okay, let's see how fast we can denature this thing.
Heck yeah, it's time for a science montage. You watch as Dan and his daughter get to work. Computers, files, DNA strands, spinny things, microscopes, and more vials. The hours pass as Dan and his daughter science the shit out of this formula. Come morning, and they've got a working prototype. 3 years of research can't compete with this father-daughter combo. Humanity finally has something that can turn the tide of the war. That's the good news. The bad news is the base is under attack by a swarm of Whitespikes. While the drones and automated weapons are kicking ass, they just don't have enough of them. If only there had been a way to jump back to a period in time when we could have mass-produced more of these weapons. Oh well, hindsight's 2020. Murray gives Dan the vials. There's no saving her timeline. He needs to take it back to his timeline to prevent this from happening. You run off to help kill Whitespikes, giving Dan a few moments to say goodbye to his daughter. As long as he doesn't do anything stupid, you'll both make it back with a working toxin. You'll be the heroes that prevented humanity's extinction. Again, as long as Dan doesn't do anything stupid. Reason 8. Star-Lord strikes again. While you're wondering why it's taking so long for the jump leak to warm up, Dan and Miri are being attacked by the vindictive mommy Whitespike. As she climbs onto the railing, an explosion rocks the structure and the walkway collapses. Miri and the Queen fall to the edge of the platform, hundreds of feet above an ocean full of Whitespikes. Dan does his best to hold her hand, but like all movies that need to kill off a main character for emotional effect, he just isn't strong enough. As she falls into the monster suit below, Dan loses it and goes full Star-Lord. This time, instead of failing to focus on pulling the Infinity Gauntlet off a baddie who wants to kill half the universe, he jumps into a sea of Whitespikes with the one vial of working toxin that can save our species. You can't believe what you're seeing. He went full Star-Lord. That's when you jump back to the past. You manifest 5 feet off the ground and belly flop onto a rather unforgiving concrete landing pad. As you're about to pass out due to the pain from your shattered ribcage, you look over and see Dan made it, with the toxin. He must have jumped moments before falling into the arms of the Queen. He is one lucky dude. Months later, during one of your extremely painful rehab sessions, you get a call from Dan. He needs your help. He lets you know his wife figured out that the Whitespikes have been here the entire time. They're buried under ice somewhere in Russia. All you need to do is alert the military. You can stop the war before it even starts. When you finally get to the Secretary of Defense, you're surprised to find he won't authorize any military action based on your intel.
And you want me to use taxpayer money to fund a special covert mission into a hostile sovereign nation led by a biology teacher?
Yeah, the biology teacher / Green Beret who brought back the species-killing toxin and whose daughter is the future commander of the human resistance. We're asking you to go on a limb based on the claims of this sketchy character.
No, you're not going to Russia.
He goes on about heated foreign relations, troop shortages, and rioting, all due to the impending war. The war they could avoid with this mission. Add to this the bean counters in accounting who are insistent he blew the budget on the recruiting efforts and there's no way he can authorize this mission. No amount of convincing can pierce his plot-protected logic. They'll need to find another way. Luckily, Dan's estranged father has a C-130, military-grade weaponry, high-explosive ordnance, and 10 sweet snowmobiles. You and Dan ran up your ragtag team of civilians and a few stranded soldiers from the future. Once again, it's up to you to save the world. Reason 9. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Flying undetected into Russian airspace, you land near a valley of glaciers. As you're taking in the view, you notice your compass is going haywire. This must be the spot. A few explosions later, you make it into an ice cave. Dan takes point and is the first one to see their ship. You are now 10 feet away from the species will bring humanity to the brink of extinction. Luckily, they won't be released from suspended animation for 26 years. Plenty of time to share proof, convince the world, and enlist the finest military minds to contain and neutralize the threat.
I don't have that kind of time.
He's right. 26 years will go by in the blink of an eye. Plus, you already came all this way. Might as well kick some alien ass. Making it into the alien ship, you realize the Whitespikes didn't arrive here on their own. They were brought here by a different alien species who appear to have died on impact. You make your way to the holding chamber and start unpacking the toxin. Yes, you have C4, but Dan wants to see if the experimental toxin works. You can now see where his daughter gets her strategic chops. One by one, you inject the toxin, bringing their suspended animation to a deadly end. For the first time, the screams of Whitespikes are a good thing as they melt in the goo underneath your feet. The toxin works. Unfortunately, the screams wake up the extremely dangerous queen you somehow missed. Throwing the other soldiers aside, the fertile female makes for the exit. She runs past the perimeter guards and out to the wilderness to begin propagating her species. Good thing Dan and his badass dad are here to save the day. The alien queen just can't compete with their X Games snowmobile stunts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and John Wick style gun fu. They corner the queen above a cliff, jab her with the remaining toxin, and kick her off the ledge. The queen's body hits a rock below with a satisfying smack, bringing the Whitespike war to an end. Finally, the human species is safe. All threats eliminated, except for the highly advanced alien species that bred these planet-killing monsters. Reason 10. The real threat is still out there. While you're out celebrating, the aliens that bioengineered these monsters are chasing down a distress signal from the alien ship you just blew to smithereens. Now we can only speculate on whether these aliens are hostile. Yes, their cargo's not a great sign, but maybe... No, these guys are bad. They're gonna take one look at the scattered remnants of their ship and think we shot out of the sky, killing their 2 pilots and destroying their experimental bioweapon. Jeff Goldblum better get to work on another computer virus, because unless he can bring down their shields, we're not going to survive their retribution. And that's where our analysis comes to an end. If you still think you would have made it, you're either delusional or Sergeant 4-Leaf Tayback. I hope you liked my glass half empty analysis of why you wouldn't survive the Tomorrow War. If you'd like me to expand your survival chances in other horror movie scenarios, consider subscribing, as it helps me make more videos. Thanks for watching, and remember to live life to the fullest. If humans from the future show up and ask for your help, chances are you're not going to make it.